guys, welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how to increase your endurance. I'm going to give you 5 simple tips on how to increase your endurance extremely quickly and very practically and very easy to use. You'll be able to do it right off the bat. Tip number 1 is to increase your base level of endurance or running by 2 kilometers every single week. So let's say you can run 10 kilometers, for example. That's a maximum that you've ever done. You want to be able to run between 12 kilometers to 14 kilometers max in your second week. And now I know this may sound daunting, but this is very possible. It's all mental. So let's say on a Sunday, which is the day that most people start running and most people do their long runs. You want to be able to do, if you're doing 10K the first week, you want to be able to do 12K the second week, 14K the next week, and then 16K the next week after that. So that's number 1. Increase your mileage. When you increase your mileage, your endurance automatically increases in all other aspects. Number 2, you need to be increasing your weight training capacity. And how you do this is by you training in the rep range of 15 plus reps and in most exercises. Now for your upper body, which is your chest, your triceps, your shoulders, your back, you want to be training in those rep ranges. And for your legs, you want to be training in those rep ranges, doing lots of squats, deadlifts, lunges, and etc. Doing those type of movements, doing them in the 15 plus rep range. But you also want to be, if you're training for a marathon or an Ironman, you want to be able to include some strength in there as well, because in the latter stages of those events, you're going to need the strength to endure that level of capacity and commitment. The third thing is to include some circuit training. I love circuit training, and circuit training is actually one of my favorite forms of training. I do it at least twice a week. What is a circuit training? Circuit exercise. A circuit is basically something that's done when you do back-to-back exercises without a break. Then you take a break after the end of that set of exercises, and then you repeat that round of exercises for an X number of times. So for example, a good full body circuit would be jumping jacks, push-ups, burpees, planks, and mountain climbers. That is a circuit that will cover almost every muscle in your body. It can be done at home. It's a bodyweight exercise, bodyweight type of circuit. You do that once, take 90 seconds of rest, and then you repeat it 5 times to about 10 times. This is a great way to increase your endurance. It also increases your VO2 max because your heart rate is extremely high throughout the circuit. It also helps burn fat as well, so you get a bit of that as well. The other thing I would say to increase your endurance is, it's a bit counterintuitive, but it works, is to actually increase your VO2 max by doing interval training slightly. Even though this should not be the main component of it, I would say in all endurance plans you need to have some kind of VO2 max endurance increase. So for a VO2 max increase endurance, you can do circuits like I mentioned, or the fourth thing, which is interval training. Now, interval training is basically when you go 1 minute fast, 1 minute slow, or 2 minutes fast, 1 minute slow. It depends. I would say for beginners, stick to a 1-to-1 ratio, which means you do 1 minute of high intensity exercise and you do 1 minute of low intensity. How would you gauge that? Ideally, you would have a heart rate monitor. A heart rate monitor can give you exactly what you want. So the way you calculate, you want to be able to be at 80% of your maximum heart rate. The way you calculate your maximum heart rate is, you take 220 minus your age, and then you find 80% of that number. So for example, for someone who is 20 years old, you take 220 minus 20, which is 200. 80% of 200 is 160. So that's what you do, basically. You have that 160 is the limit you should be at, basically. The other thing I would say, if you don't have a heart rate monitor, is to monitor is to just do it by a litmus test by breathing. If you basically should not be able to have a conversation. You should not be able to have a conversation while you're doing interval training. So you should be a little breathless to a certain extent. So you want to be breathless for a minute, kind of, and then you want to dial back a bit for another minute, and then go again. You also want to be able to increase the intensity you're doing it at. Let's say you're doing it on a treadmill, you're doing it at 8, 0 incline, 1 minute on, 1 minute off. The next time you do it, you maybe want to go to 9, same incline, 1 minute on, 1 minute off. Next time, maybe 10, maybe increase the incline a little bit. But again, adjust the levers accordingly. Don't try to change everything at once. The fourth tip is also another thing. It's a lot of it is in your mindset. When you're doing endurance events and you're training for long capacity and you're trying to increase your lung capacity, you want to be able to have the mindset in order to do that. It is difficult. It is difficult. It was difficult for me. It's difficult for everybody who wants to endure. But again, if you can do this, you can adapt this mindset in all other areas of your life, because it's all about pushing past barriers. If you can push past that physical barrier, you can push past any mental barrier. Let's say you can push past barriers in finance. You can push past any barriers in your relationships, in your friendships, in your business, in anything. And that's why I absolutely love endurance, because more than the physical aspect and the achievement, it's the mental aspect that really excites me and passionate and drives me, because you get so much more out of it than just training for aesthetics alone. Don't get me wrong, I think aesthetics are important, but I also feel like you should have a functional and goal-oriented aspect to your training along with the aesthetic part. And finally, a bonus tip. This is something I use, and something a lot of my fellow partners and colleagues use, which is a high oxygen altitude mask. Now, I live in Sri Lanka, which is not a very high altitude place. So I use a high altitude mask, which is basically a high oxygen mask, and I wear that around my face when I'm doing my runs. What that does is it doesn't exactly increase your hemoglobin in your body, because you're not actually at altitude, but it does make it harder for your lungs to take in oxygen. And by doing that, by stretching your lungs to an extent, you get the benefit of increasing your endurance, because your lungs are made to work that much harder. And by doing that, obviously your endurance increases. And then when you do a long endurance run again in the future, you'll find it much easier. So that's it for the video, guys. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe button. I would really appreciate it if you enjoyed this video. Like I said again, leave any comments or tips. Leave the thumbs up so you get notified for the next video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.